Okay, welcome back. We are going to be discussing Pesach, the Haggadah. Even though it may be a little bit early, although the Shabbos is Shabbos Haggadah, some people don't say Shabbos Haggadah, but rather Shabbos Haggadah. So we have to start being Dorish the Haggadah. So, Kol HaKodem Zacha, the earlier we do it, the better. Reading from the sefer Zeronei Daniel. Okay. The seder night, it's very interesting. We call it the seder, the order. Literally, it's the order. Why? It's brought down in the writings of the Arizal that on the night of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Geula from Mitzrayim, we were at the lowest level. We were at the Memtes Shari Tumah, lowest possible level. Had we stayed there, it would have been disastrous for Am Yisrael. We were immersed in the impurity of Mitzrayim. It was impossible to ascend from there if it wasn't for the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of Hashem. We went me'akatze el akatze, from one end to the other end. As it is written in Likutei Halachos, Hilchos Pesach, Halacha Zayin. Therefore, Hashem has wondered in His kindness towards us and has shown upon us a great and awesome light that is not gradual. So, we have spoken about it before. There's a certain or, a light that resonates, comes down on Pesach. It's Laila Kayom Yair. Literally, the din of Pesach night is as if it was daytime. So there is a light, and a person has to make themselves into the proper kli, the vessel, in the days leading up to Pesach, in order to accept that light. The more you work for it, the more you will receive. If the bigger vessel you make, you prepare much earlier than last minute, you're going to be able to receive more of that light. He says, Hashem did a great chesed towards us, and He's shown this great, awesome light that is not gradual. And the closer one draws to the truth, it's called Mochin the Gadlus. So we start out Mochin the Kadnus, literally the brain that's a katan, small, an immature brain, or an immature way of thinking. And our goal is, by the end of the Seder, to go to Mochin the Gadlus. We want to achieve the level of maturity, having the moach, the brain of a gadol, the reality, the awareness, the understanding of a gadol. In other words, a person has to first begin to learn the Aleph Beis Gimel. You're starting very early. A child, he's a katan, so he has Mochin the Kadnos. He has a very immature, small way of understanding things. You have to start out small. You're not going to talk to a child, when they're learning math, you're not going to talk to the child about calculus, and graphs and things like that. But rather, you have to start out 1 plus 1, addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, then algebra, trigonometry, pre-calculus, calculus. You have to work your way up because the child is not ready. His mind is not mature enough to understand these concepts. So what do we say in Pirkei Avos? Ben Chamesh Lamikra. 5 years old for the Chumash. You start to learn Aleph Beis by that time. You know Aleph Beis, then you can start to read Chumash. Es ben Eser LeMishnah. Ben Chamesh Esrei LeTalmud. Right? When you're 10, you learn Mishnah. 15, you start to learn Gemara. Because at that point, you can understand Svara, logic, thinking. Perhaps we can say that the 15 headings of the Seder, we can explain them as follows, right? We say Kadesh, Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Magid, Rachza, Motzi, Matzah, Marach, Korach, Shulchan, Orach, Tzafran, Baruch, Halal, Nirtza. Altogether, there are 15 headliners, right? So the beginning of the Haggadah begins with Magid. That's the beginning, which is the 5th heading, right? Kadesh, Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Magid. That's 5. 5 fingers. Which corresponds to Ben Chamesh Lamikra. That's Magid. You're a child. You're talking to the child. That corresponds with Mochin the Katnos, the immature brain. Because when a 5-year-old learns Chumash, he's accustomed somewhat to the psukim that we're going to be saying in the Haggadah. Oh, Ben Chamesh Lamikra, you're starting out. You can read Chumash, so you can understand the psukim. We're dorish the whole night. We're darshaning psukim. So you understand psukim. That's the basics. At the end of the Haggadah, he already reached the level of Mochin the Gadlus. We're at the 15th level, Nirtza, we're all at the top. That's already Mochin the Godless. The 15th, that corresponds to what the Pirkei Avos says, Ben Chamesh Esrei LaTalmud, LaGemara, LaSvara. You're ready to learn deeper. And that helps us understand all the laws of the mitzvahs of the Torah that are hidden in the Chumash. So this draws him closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is represented by Moshe, who was the Tzaddik Hador. Therefore, the gematria of Nirtza, which is the 15th heading, is Moshe. Right? Nun Reish, that's 250. Tzadi is 90, so that takes us to 340. Hey is 5, 345 is the same gematria numerical value as Moshe. So that's a remez to Moshe in the Haggadah all the way at the end, because Moshe, he was a tzaddik, he was Mochin the Godless, he was the Gadol. That's the Shabbos HaGadol. He is the Gadol. He is at the top. And that is, so that, therefore, even though, by the way, Moshe, he's not mentioned in the Haggadah at all, but in reality, he is mentioned. It's a trivia question. He is mentioned, but only in reference to a pasuk. We say, Vayiminu b'Hashem u'v Moshe avdo. It's a pasuk in the Haggadah, but we don't really talk about Moshe, his role in Yetzias Mitzrayim. We know he was basically, he was just an extension of Hashem. He was doing what Hashem wanted. He was the intermediary of taking Bnei Yisrael out of Mitzrayim. But as Hashem said, Ani v'lo malach, I'm the one that's taking you out. So, Moshe, on this night, he's really to the side. That's not the focus. The focus is our relationship with Bnei Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why some people have the minhag to read Shir HaShirim, which talks about Hashem's love for Bnei Yisrael. So therefore, on this night, we proceed in order. There is a seder that we have to go by. We go from Mochin the Kadnos to Mochin the Gadlus. We start out immature, on an immature level, Ben Chamish Lamikra, Magid, which is the 5th heading, and then we work our way all the way up to Nirtza, which is the 15th, which corresponds to, in Pirkei Avos, Ben Chamesh Esrei LaTalmud, LaSvara, right? You at that point, you're ready to understand a deeper understanding of whatever is going on in the Seder, how HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out, understanding on a much deeper level. Even though on Pesach in Mitzrayim there was a great illumination, there was a great ha'ara, and we passed several steps, we jumped, we went from one end to the other, which wasn't in accordance with nature. However, on Pesach night, which we don't do that, we are following a Seder, because we have to start out with Mochin the Katnos, young understanding. We talk to children, they're young. We try and come down to their level. We're bringing the Torah down to their level, and gradually for ourselves even, we are working our way up, and we want to achieve the end, Nirtza, which is Mochin the Godless, which represents Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the Tzaddik Ador.